Good morning and welcome to our work session agenda today. We are going to start off with the invocation from Councilwoman Trudy Solomon, and then Mayor Pro-Tem Jeremy Shugarts will lead us in our pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for all of those who are gathered here and those who couldn't be with us. Lord, we thank you for all the efforts and energy and just attitudes put forth, the care of this town, everybody from our first responders to just our simple, wonderful, lovely neighbors who pick up trash on the beach, and all the people it takes to make our town a beautiful, wonderful place to live and work and play. We pray over all of our residents and the tourists who visit here and those who just enjoy Surf City for what we want it to be, what it is. And all of us have challenges, and we pray over those who have experienced loss lately in lots of different ways. Loss comes in many, many ways. And as we move forward in our town discussions and our meetings, Lord, help us to turn our challenges into opportunities to do better for this town, to always seek truth and to make wise decisions and to be good neighbors and loving, be a loving community. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again for coming today. We appreciate you all being here. At this time, I would like a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have any public comments, Carla?
We do not.
No public comments. All right, so this time we'll work on our items today. Item number 1 is the committee appointments, and we have those appointments in front of us for the committees, and Carla will present.
Thank you. There are several term expirations coming up, so all of those are on the paper in front of you. You've received the applications that were all turned in by the deadline, and then you'll just vote on the paper and send those down.
Once you vote, if you'll just raise your hand and we'll come down and pick them up.
You picking up?
Or,
You picking up?
oh, here comes Mr.
Put your name in.
Mr. Brett.
You put your name on them? I did. We put our name on them?
Sign
In case it has
sign
to come back, yes. Sorry. Thank you. Is the lease agreement? This is, yeah. 5-minute break.
Trying to decide if Teresa was supposed to vote on the committees. Hey, where's the parking office is still at the
305 North New River Drive.
at the old building. This woman's been here. She said I can't find it. I'm like, well, it ain't moved.
No, they're still there.
What's the address again?
305.
Oops.
I had lunch with Chief Olson yesterday and learned all about the fire department. It's cool. You want me, Chris?
1 second.
You say you want me to talk? Okay. All right. Well, so I was at Margaritas the other night. Really, I was at Margaritas the other night, and there was this guy that come by. He was cleaning off tables, and he said, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "I'm good. I hope you are." And he came back. He's like, "You know, I work for the town, right?" I was like, "Well, you know, your hair's kind of all slicked back. You know, you look familiar." He's like, "Well, I do. I work for the town part-time seasonal, and then I work here because I just like love the atmosphere here, and I want to be here." And he pulled up a chair, sat down at the table for a while, and he's like,
Just make yourself.
"When I say I love working for the town, I love working for the town. I get in there and I do the job, and I was like meet all these people." And he worked with Ed. His name was Chris, and he's like, Ed is like this like super teacher. He puts me out, and you know, I get to clean all these bathrooms. I was like, "You are awesome. I like you."
I love that.
Chris, $3 an hour raise for that gentleman, please.
Okay, we have a majority on all the names that I'll read. Board of Adjustment, 2 openings, Terry Poplaski and Israel Almeida, sorry if I mispronounced. Planning Board, 1 opening, Frank Williams will stay on. Beautification Enhancement, we had 2 openings, and Jerry and Richard will stay on that committee. Shoreline and Resiliency, 4 openings, those will be Hiram Williams, Kathy Medlin, Kathy Zagzebski, and David Ward. PSET, there were 3 openings, Erica Burton, Hunt, Reif Schneider, and Desiree Taryn. Parks and Recreation will be Tracy Williams and Kathy Cottrell. And that'll go on the consent agenda for appointment June.
Thank you, Carla. Next item up is the American Tower lease agreement. And Kyle Brewer will present.
Yes, good morning, Madam Mayor and Council. This is something that you all are familiar with. We've been going back and forth with American Tower, and they work through a third party that does the leasing negotiations for the company. And soon after we had negotiated this and talked about it and approved the modified agreement, they came back and said that they were not willing to execute that amendment. So essentially where we're at is this tower out at Sarge Martin is vacant. It has no co-locations on it. There's no monthly rent, no monthly co-location revenue that's coming in, simply just the monthly rent. American Tower has priced themselves out in the market regarding leasing of tower space, and there is direct competition within, for lack of better terms, as the crow flies, cellular tower services being provided in Hawley Ridge. So therefore, what we see is this tower is being vacant and probably not a huge opportunity in the immediate future for lessees to be on this. So what they had come back is said that they requested to eliminate the monthly rent for this, but in exchange would increase that revenue share back to 35%, and then offering a one-time payment of $30,000 to close the deal. I don't think that the 35% of the monthly revenue share was a favorable commitment on their part, seeing as the viability of having a tenant on that tower was limited and continues to be limited. So therefore, I requested that the revenue share in exchange for a larger one-time payment be reduced back down to 20%, and then the one-time payment contribution to the town being $60,000. In addition to this, the installation of the town's LMR public safety system So if James or Emergency Management wants to continue to pursue those efforts to bolster the town's current system, we would have that opportunity. But I'm presenting to you the revised agreement for a one-time payment of $60,000 and a 20% revenue share should the tower seek a co-location on the site. So that's where we're at with it. Again, I'm recommending that council approve this and we move forward with it.
Anyone have any questions for Kyle? Hearing none, do we have you want a consensus today, Kyle?
Just a consensus to move it to the regular meeting. And I will note that the amendment to the agreement has been reviewed by legal counsel, so we're in the good with all the legalese within the agreement.
I agree.
We got 100% consensus to move forward. Item number 3, water sports ordinance amendment, and Kyle will present.
So this was brought to you last year, and what we said after our discussion is that or council wanted us to present this back to our motorized water sport brick and mortar businesses or businesses that are currently operating within the town of Surf City to garner some feedback. We did that process. I received 5 separate individual responses from Surf City businesses. There were some comments in regards to that, they wanted to reiterate that these are practices that they are already doing within their business. There was some comments about fire suppression is determined by the fire marshal, which this does not provide any additional standards. They still have to follow those standards, but overall, I think that there's some general agreement with the Surf City businesses, and the ordinance did not have a lot of change from when we originally looked at this, except for we did add in new legislation or new law on the state side for the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission requiring a commercial activity permit for one, if people are using a boat ramp for like say a fishing tournament, you have to have a permit for that. And or if you are using a boat ramp for some other commercial purpose, you have to also get a special permit from Wildlife Resources. We've also provided consistency back in our special events manual, but I did add that into this ordinance to address specifically the Surf City boat access area and provided resources back to the Wildlife Resources Commission. So as a reminder, motorized water sports rentals must operate only from lawfully permitted dock space to include necessary fire suppression. That's what we were talking about. Permitted dock space must be located a minimum of 1,000 feet away from any public boat access areas measured by linear shoreline, and we thought that that was important because we wanted to have some clarity as to how we're measuring that. The use of any public boat access area should only be used in the loading and unloading of motorized water sport apparatus. So essentially, if somebody is using the boat ramp for a commercial purpose, for example, ABC boat rentals, they can use the boat ramp. We're not saying that they cannot, but it should only be for the loading and unloading of that. The North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission, as
Repeat that back to me again so I understand that.
So the use of any public boat access area, so the public boat ramp, shall only be used in the loading and unloading of motorized water sport apparatus. So onloading or offloading of individuals renting the watercraft is only permitted at the establishment's permitted dock space. So again, you're not to meet people at the boat ramp to load and unload. If you're operating a motorized water sports rental, as stated earlier in the ordinance, you have to have specific permitted dock space.
A guy in Hawley Ridge or Hampstead or Sneed's Ferry they have their business there.
That's correct.
And they want to load them in our marina, they can do that, correct?
They have to have a permitted dock space.
Okay.
Yep. That's what we're saying.
Saying that they can load, put the watercraft in.
Yeah, I'm getting real ambiguous here.
Yeah.
Okay, so water sports rentals, so if you're renting motorized water, jet skis, jet crafts, whatever it is, has to be motorized, you have to have a permitted dock space.
Permitted dock space at your local,
At your
establishment.
business, yes.
And if you don't,
And if you don't, you're not allowed to rent motorized watercraft from the public boat ramp, from the boat access area. This does not address like charter fishing, for example. You're not renting your charter fishing boat to somebody to do that. This is only for motorized water sport rentals are defined as businesses or individuals engaged in renting equipment or watercraft that use a motor or other power source to propel a craft or rider.
What is the enforcement leg of this, though?
The enforcement leg of this is that the violations, the provisions of the code shall subject the offender to a civil penalty upon the issuance of a citation for such violation provided by section 1-6. This will be on essentially a complaint-driven basis. So if somebody does complain to the town, we can engage a investigation into whatever activity may be occurring out there. And then it'll be up to the code enforcement official to be able to essentially build a case to issue a civil
Code
citation.
enforcement. Okay, that's where I was going.
Kyle, am I straight about this? I don't want to beat this horse dead. So typically when you rent a watercraft like that, you have to sign all kinds of legal forms and stuff.
Correct.
They'd be doing that, sign those legal forms, everything there at our dock?
No,
So where
no,
would they sign those at?
at the permitted dock space. So at their physical location, so ABC jet ski rental,
Okay, so let's say they're in Hampstead, there's no dock, or in Hawley Ridge, there's no dock. How does that work?
they would be in violation of the ordinance.
I just want to confirm that. I want
Yes.
to make sure it's clear.
Yes.
So basically, you have to, if you're renting it from an individual, a company, the person that's renting it has to go to that location, sign the papers there. They couldn't do it in the parking lot of Soundside Park, in other
Oh,
words.
yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
So
and
no money's gonna be exchanged at Southside
and
Park.
furthermore, you know, if you owned a jet ski and you wanted to rent that out, that's gonna fall under a motorized water sport rental. You're not allowed to offer that piece of equipment at the public boat access area. Now, if they come to your house, you know, that's gonna be a whole different scenario, but that is also gonna trigger additional, you know.
In other words, somebody
ordinance.
can't pull up to Soundside Park with a trailer with 4 jet skis on it and put a sign on it, rentable.
That's correct.
And if they do, then they're in violation.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. The other items here were proof of in-person training materials that provide an overview of safe handling and local waterway conditions must be presented, and then a spotter or a guide must be present or available at all times. Shall assistance be necessary while motorized water sport equipment is being rented? This goes into the scenario we talked about with the jet ski at the bottom of the intercoastal. And all of our companies, if they don't have a spotter physically out there, they have a phone number in which people call because they are available to provide that. So that was the synopsis of the ordinance. Again, not a lot had changed. However, the request from council to go back to our local businesses to allow them the opportunity to look at this was provided. Happy to try to answer.
Basically, this was already in place.
No, we presented a draft to council, and essentially council said, we like this, however, we want you to go get some input. So we pulled our registered businesses and sent them the survey.
2 questions. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
Go ahead, please.
In John's scenario, that's not what triggered this, though, right? We didn't have people setting up booths in the parking lot trying to rent.
No,
This was
I
something
think
else
that
triggered
the
this.
larger concern was that we were having entities from other areas that were not established in Surf City, that the town could not measure their ability to provide safety to the renters, et cetera. So somebody may have transacted all the business online virtually, and then said, okay, your motorized watercraft will be available at the Surf City boat access area at 9 a.m. on Saturday, May 17th, whatever it might be. And then that person goes and gets on a jet ski, or whatever it is.
And that could be done by somebody that doesn't have permanent dock space of their own.
Not with the passing of this ordinance.
That's what I mean.
So that eliminates that
Without
scenario.
having,
Okay.
I mean, how would we know, you know? It
That's
could be-
correct.
I could buy 5 jet skis and take them down there in a trailer and not have dock space and just,
That's correct. Well, yeah, you would set up, John's Jet Ski Rental online, you go through, you register for it, insurance, it all might still be there. However, if you don't have physical dock space in town, that's not a business operation that you're gonna be allowed to do.
Quick questions, don't want to be laborious. Who's enforcing this? Code enforcement or the law enforcement?
Code enforcement.
Okay, that's number one. Number two is, what's the fee, the fines for this?
I
Because
believe it's, civil citation, I don't have that reference in front of me. Section 1-6, I don't wanna assume, I think it's $50.
Okay, so let me say something to you. I would, if I was a business, all day I'd take a $50 fine over renting 4 jet skis. So what's the penalty? You get, there's a citation, then a second citation. Does that increase drastically? Or does it-
I'd have to go to the ordinance and pull that.
Super important.
But we can look at any potential escalation factors if necessary.
I would think that it would make some sense to look into it to increase that fine. So it's not just somebody adding $10 to each rental and paying their fine. Because if they do that, then they'll say, well, I'm just gonna keep doing it, and it only cost me $50, even if it cost me $100, it's still, I don't have any idea what jet skis rent for, but I'm sure it's not inexpensive,
So we are in consensus of moving forward with the ordinance. However, Kyle's going to investigate the fines a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm rating it, Madam Mayor, it's $50 for each violation, and each day, any single violation continued shall be a separate violation. That's the way the current ordinance reads.
And we could increase that, correct?
Sure, yeah, your ordinance says you can.
Do we want to go ahead and talk about it,
Yes, you might as well over here.
increase?
Yes, I would think it would be advantageous to.
I will note that, this is the general citation provision within the ordinance. So, the $50 for citation being adjusted, could become applied to every single citation of this
Unintended
ordinance
consequences.
to include, throwing fruit in the
Triggers
road,
unintended
that is an ordinance for us. So I would caution y'all, from being too haste on escalating these things, because it applies to basically, unless there's separate provision in here, applies to every other code within the ordinance.
Recommendation?
Yeah.
Let's move forward like it is.
Yeah.
Code enforcement will contact us if this
If this
is
still at
happening,
hand.
Yes.
Yeah,
and if it becomes a problem
right.
beyond what we think is reasonable, then let's address
Let's
it.
do it. That sounds good.
And that was going to be my suggestion, is let us sort of monitor this, see what sort of activity is going on, and then we can always report back after the season or midway through the season to let you know.
And
But
if that becomes a problem, and we decide to come back to this, we could separate this
yeah,
fine from all the rest of them.
you would essentially just call out violations of this ordinance, because this is going to be put in the code of ordinances in a specific location. We would then change the language here that says violations of this are of civil issuance, starting with $50 and escalating to $100 or $200, whatever it might be. We can discuss that.
Can we assess it as the violation is considered per vehicle, per watercraft? And then instead of it being $50 for their business as a whole, it's now $50 per?
Yeah, and I believe if hopefully we don't get to that point, but if we're back at this point discussing escalation violations, everything within statutory authority is back on the table, and we can look at specifics with it.
All right, so just general consensus to move forward with the water sports ordinance amendment as written.
I agree.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Next item is surplus resolution and Carla will present.
You have a resolution in your packet that lists several items from several departments that they're asking to surplus. This could be done at public auction, internet, or online, donation to nonprofit, upset bid, or destruction. Any questions about any of those items?
Just need consensus to move forward.
Yes. I agree.
All right, everybody agrees? I think this is going to be an exciting surplus with some holiday pole lights hitting the market. Next item, the ordinance amendment for utilities chapter, and David Price will present. Yes.
Morning, Mayor, Council. In your packet's a suggested ordinance rewrite for Chapter 18. The point of this is to add clarity. We've ran into several issues lately that the ordinance spoke to in terms of history, but not in language. So this clarifies a lot of that. Most of it's changing terms. We're using the term customer instead of a property owner a lot of times now, and I'll get to why we changed that in a minute. But I'm just going to touch on it lightly. If y'all would like to go more in depth, I'll be glad to do that for you. The first section just outlines when the bill actually starts. Originally, it was when the plumbing inspector gives his final inspection. That is no longer accurate. Nowadays, when we drop that meter and you start using the water, you get a bill. So that clarifies that. Chapter 18-8, originally there was a section here that did not allow tenants to pay water bills. That has not been a practice for many, many years. We do allow tenants to take over the water bill for a short period of time, so that strikes this section, and that's also why we started referring to throughout the whole ordinance as customer instead of owner. So it reflects that change. You'll also see in talk about billing, we added stormwater and sanitation language into it. That just reflects the other services we offer that we originally did not. With the disconnect, it just outlines better when they get their deposits back. When, let me see here. And if they don't provide a deposit, this is a common thing with everything being digital nowadays. People will set up an account but not provide a deposit, and that becomes an issue. Just as outline says, hey, you got 10 days to do it. If not, your account's closed. But that is the highlights. I'd be glad to go into more detail if you like.
Anyone have any questions?
I just got one, just something that struck me as curiosity, not that I'm questioning anything. Why wouldn't you pay the deposit at the beginning instead of after?
A lot of times with us being digital nowadays, they set the account online. We actually have to create that account before we can take a payment. So the two options you have is they do it online. We create the account that we could put the deposit on that account.
You don't start service till all that's done.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what confused me. I was thinking, okay, you got service, you got 10 days to pay a deposit. I misunderstood what you said.
Well, let me back up a little bit. In certain cases, such as you sell your home and somebody else buys it, they come in and set the account up, but they'll still have service. We won't cut them off for 10 days. They still have 10 days to pay the deposit.
Gotcha. Thank you.
But these changes being moved to consent agenda on July 3rd.
Do we have consensus to move forward?
Certainly, yes.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
while we have Price, not to throw you a curveball by any means, do you mind if he can kind of update the board on the billing and the printing
Oh, sure.
provider? If you don't mind, Price, given
He's the
just
master
a quick update.
envelope stuffer.
Yes.
Yes, I'm not going to name the company. I don't know if it's the appropriate forum for that, but our mail-in company for the better part of 2 decades, I believe. Last month, they had an issue where they did not get the envelopes out, which created a huge disturbance. They got them out, I believe it was 1 day before the bills were due. I had a good conversation with them, and looking back, it's kind of funny now, but they said it would not happen again. This month, the day the bills were due to go out, they closed the doors. So they were right, it did not happen again. So, as a result, to credit the town staff, they printed, folded, stuffed, and mailed 5,400 bills within a 7-hour period. Now, as we said since then, the financial department has been working closely. They've already got 3 bids for replacement, similar cost, but this is a wide problem. This particular company has hit us, Pender County, Department of Revenue, everybody. So it's a statewide problem that's hurting all of us. But Surf City's good. We got our bills out on time, and we've already got a replacement hopefully lined up.
Thank you, Price.
Price, let me just clarify, because you said July 3rd. You want this on the June 3rd consent
June 3rd,
agenda?
I'm sorry, yes.
Making sure for minutes.
Thank you. Okay, next item is the NC Finance Class Resolution, and Kyle will present.
Again, good morning, Madam Mayor and Council. This is I wish Melissa was here. I know she would have wanted to present this, but this is really a follow-up to our ongoing discussion of diversifying our investment options for the town. NC Class is a newer offering for local governments where we can now work with quote-unquote the commercial paper market. So essentially what NC Class does is that the board of directors are all made up of local government finance officials, but they hire the professionals to review daily markets, invest in stable stocks, stable companies, and essentially provides that offering back to us as customers with it. So we will looking to invest in NC Class, a portion of our investment portfolio. The interest rate as of May 14th was at 4.3649%, so it's very competitive, especially with some of our long-term investments like with First Citizens Bank. So what we're asking is for a resolution to be put forth on the June 2nd agenda, and we will most likely start off, relatively small, about $2.5 million for our investment needs. This is daily liquidity, so if we needed this money, we can pull it out at any time without penalty. So we do feel like this is a very strong option for us, and we'll complete sort of our investment strategy with commercial paper now, our North Carolina cash management, which is probably the most conservative investment, and then our First Citizens, in which we utilize for longer term investments. So NC Class is a new product, and we had a good meeting with them, and wanted to move forward with this. So.
Anyone have any questions? Nope. All right, do we have consensus to move forward?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is the ordinance amendment with the fire department ban of commercial burning, and Chief Alan Wilson will present.
Ooh, hello, Madam Mayor, Council. What you have before you is an ordinance amendment and proposal to prohibit commercial burning within the town limits of Surf City. I want to highlight a couple recent complaints and future effects that commercial burning has on our town and residents. These concerns have prompted us to consider a potential change in our ordinance. Large-scale commercial burning significantly affects air quality due to smoke and ash, which has been an ongoing issue here for our residents, particularly with the developments like Magnolia Reserve, Waterside, and recently the Poplar Branch subdivision off Mill Creek. Residents in these areas have been facing smoke problems for months because of commercial burning, and we have observed considerable amount of smoke and ash in the neighborhood on numerous occasions. As a result, the smoke infiltrates their homes, reducing their air quality. We've actually seen ash inside some of these homes. Furthermore, I believe that Turtle Creek and Magnolia Reserve neighborhoods, as well as the surrounding residents, may also soon be affected as land clearing starts in the Colonial Heights and Applewood Trace subdivisions. The fire department has also received burning requests already for the Colonial Heights parcels, so it's an ongoing issue. The commercial burning will undoubtedly impact not only the neighborhoods mentioned, but also the surrounding homes and businesses. Given the growth of our town has seen, permitting large-scale commercial burning is increasingly affecting our citizens and visitors more than it has in the past. Therefore, I do recommend that contractors consider alternative methods for disposing of vegetative waste such as chipping, grinding, or hauling it away instead of burning on site. Although we recognize that burning debris is a cost-effective option for developers, it jeopardizes the health and safety and welfare of our residents and visitors. I'm seeking a consensus to put this on the June agenda and welcome any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions?
I got a quick question, just for clarification.
Yes.
When you say commercial burning, I feel like I understand what you're saying, but it may be a little ambiguous. You're talking about land clearing debris. You're not talking about, hey, we got butt ends off of lumber from the eaves we built. We're not burning, you're not talking about burning construction debris.
Burning construction debris is a violation of state law already, so you can't burn that anyway. But we're talking land clearing primarily. Although here in Surf City, we have had a business at one point that was doing landscaping, bringing their land clippings inside the city and burning them. That also addresses that issue, but it's large-scale vegetative debris burning.
I just wanted to make sure for those maybe listening that we weren't talking about, that we don't have a problem of burning timbers and
Lumber,
construction and two-by-fours. It was.
Right.
It was.
Yeah, it's vegetative
land cleared,
debris,
it was
yeah.
trees and limbs and brush.
That's right.
Wanted to make that clarification. Thank you.
I just wanted to add something to that. I just recently watched a program about the fires out west, and I didn't realize it, and I don't know if anybody does, but the amount of carcinogens, what they call natural carcinogens, that are in these burnings. Well, out west it's a forest fire, but here it's the same thing. It's unbelievable what the rate is and how it can be absorbed. They were just talking about the firefighters that fired, how it's absorbed through their skin, breathing, whatnot. But there's a ton of things they listed. I'm not even going to try to match the list because it was so long. But you don't realize that. You smell something burning wood, and for a couple of minutes it might smell nice, but then you don't realize exactly what it is. So I think what you're talking about is definitely something we need to jump on.
And it's not unusual for municipalities to prohibit commercial burning.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
We have consensus to move forward?
certainly, yes.
Thank you, Alan.
You.
Can I ask a quick question? Not but for you, Mayor. Okay, so we're going to move forward. This will be on the June 3rd?
June 3rd.
Okay, okay. Now, what happens if one of these contractors now
That's my question.
start burning tomorrow?
Yeah, that's my question.
Is there some sort of way we can expedite this, or no? That would be a lawyer question, I guess.
What conversations are
You know
happening?
what I mean? Instead of,
And you can't take action on it today.
Yeah, there's not a public hearing requirement on the ordinance. This is just our standard practice, and it would be completely up to the board to make that decision if you want to take action on it.
I think we should try to act on this as soon as possible.
So there could be a motion to have it effective today, and you just need a motion and a second and approval of it.
recommend?
That's up to the board.
You have to have a permit to commercial burn?
You do.
Can we
Yes.
just say no permits will be issued until we have till we've decided on this ordinance?
My question would be, what would be our basis to deny the permit?
I think we should.
As long as they do it legally, we have no real basis to deny the permit until they do something that is not allowed within the permit.
Yeah, and that would be exactly what Chief is saying, is if the desire for council is to not approve a permit, then my suggestion would be you just make this effective.
I'll make the motion that we go ahead and make it effective today.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
I will second that.
And let me ask, if someone violates this, what's the penalty?
So there's a couple of ways we can go about it. Obviously,
Is it $50?
so there is that ordinance piece of it, but also we immediately will put it out. But if it becomes a bigger problem, then we refer them to air quality, and they have much higher fines.
Okay.
I mean, they can fine within thousands.
Okay.
So.
So
if
there's
we
some
have
big
that-
repercussions.
Yeah, if we
Okay.
have that kind of problem, we can forward it to air quality.
Okay.
We
I'm getting ready to
current,
run down a rabbit hole. I'm sorry, go ahead, Alicia.
do we currently have any commercial permits pulled in the near future?
To my knowledge, right now, we don't have any open commercial permits.
Is this something we vote on today?
So at this time,
We're getting ready to vote on it now.
at this time, we just heard an ordinance amendment for the fire department, ban control burning, commercial burning. I had a first and a second to make it effective today. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to make it effective today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a follow-up question for you, Alan. Real quick, I know this is a rabbit hole and then I'll be done. That scenario you put where somebody does burn and it's the $50 fine and y'all go put it out, is there a way we can classify what it took cost-wise for the fire department to go put out an illegal fire and charge that builder back with it?
We'd probably have to amend the ordinance a little bit further to have some reconcile of efforts.
It would have to be just spelled out in the ordinance.
Yeah.
on what
Putting
the
that out
fine
there, I
would
don't know
be.
if it needs to be or not.
Yeah.
So,
We will work on that and bring that back to the council.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Thank you. If there is nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.